Mishley, Proverbs 25 through 29. Mashal, Proverb 25. These two are proverbs of Shalomo, which the men of Hizkiah, sovereign of Yehudah, copied. It is the esteem of Elohim to hide a matter, and the esteem of sovereigns to search out a matter. The Shemayim for height and the earth for depth, but the heart of sovereigns is unsearchable. Take away the dross from silver, and a vessel comes forth for the refiner. Take away the wicked from before the sovereign, and his throne is established in righteousness. Do not exalt yourself before a sovereign, and do not stand in the place of great men, for it is better for him to say to you, "Come up here," than that you should be put lower before a noble whom your eyes have seen. Do not go forth to strive in haste, for what would you do in the end when your neighbor has put you to shame? Plead your case with your neighbor himself, and do not disclose the secret of another, lest he who hears it put you to shame, and your evil report turn not back. A word spoken at the right time is like apples of gold and mountings of silver. A ring of gold and an ornament of fine gold is a wise one's reproof to an ear that hears. Like the cold of snow in time of harvest is a trustworthy messenger to those who send him, for he refreshes the life of his masters. Clouds and wind without rain is he who boasts of his gifts falsely. Through patience a ruler is persuaded, and a soft tongue shatters a bone. Have you found honey? Eat only as much as you need, lest you be satisfied with it and vomit. Make your foot rare in your neighbor's house, lest he gets enough of you and hate you. A club and a sword and a sharp arrow is a man bearing false witness against his neighbor. A broken tooth or a foot out of joint is trust in a treacherous man in time of distress. One who takes away a garment in cold weather is vinegar on soda, and a singer of songs on an evil heart. If your enemy is hungry, give him bread to eat, and if he is thirsty, give him water to drink, for you are heaping coals of fire on his head, and Yahuah rewards you. The north wind brings rain, and a secret tongue an enraged face. It is better to dwell in a corner of a roof than in a house shared with a contentious woman. Cold water to a parched throat is good news from a distant land. A muddied spring and a ruined fountain is a righteous man who gives way before the wicked. It is not good to eat much honey. Is it esteem to seek one's own esteem? A broken down city without a wall is a man who has no control over his spirit. Mashal, Proverb 26. Like snow in summer and rain in harvest, so esteem is not fitting for a fool. As a bird wanders, as a swallow flies about, so a curse without cause does not come. A whip for a horse, a bridle for a donkey, and a rod for the fool's back. Do not answer a fool according to his folly, lest you also become like him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he become wise in his own eyes. He who sends a message by the hand of a fool cuts off feet, drinks violence. The legs of the lame hang limp, so is a proverb in the mouth of fools. Like one binding a stone in a sling, so is he who gives esteem to a fool. A thorn goes into the hand of a drunkard, so is a proverb in the mouth of fools. An archer who wounds anyone is he who hires a fool or any passerby. As a dog returns to his own vomit, so a fool repeats his folly. Have you seen a man wise in his own eyes? There is more expectancy for a fool than for him. The lazy one says, "There is a lion in the way, a fierce lion is in the streets." A door turns on its hinges, so does the lazy one turn on his bed. The lazy one buries his hand in a dish, it tires him to bring it back to his mouth. The lazy one is wiser in his own eyes than 7 rendering advice. One who takes a dog by the ears is a passer-by meddling in a strife not his own. Like a madman who throws sparks, arrows, and death, so is a man who deceived his neighbor and says, "I was only joking." For lack of wood the fire goes out, and without a slanderer strife ceases. Charcoal is for burning coals, and wood to fire, so is a contentious man to kindle strife. The words of a slanderer are as dainty morsels which go down into the inner parts of the heart. Earthenware covered with silver dross are burning lips with an evil heart. He who hates pretends with his lips and lays up deceit within him. Though he speaks kindly, do not believe him, for there are 7 abominations in his heart. Hatred is covered by deceit. His evil is disclosed in the assembly. Whoever digs a pit falls into it, and whoever rolls a stone, it turns back on him. A lying tongue hates its bruised ones, and a flattering mouth works ruin. Mashal, Proverb 27. Do not boast of tomorrow, for you do not know what a day brings forth. Let another man praise you, and not your own mouth, a stranger, and not your own lips. A stone is heavy and sand is weighty, but a fool's wrath is heavier than both. Wrath is cruel and displeasure overwhelming, but who is able to stand before jealousy? Open reproof is better than hidden love. The wounds of a friend are true, but the kisses of an enemy are profuse. One satisfied loathes the honeycomb, but to a hungry one any bitter is sweet. Like a bird that wanders from its nest, so is a man who wanders from his place. Ointment and perfume gladden the heart, so one's counsel is sweet to his friend. Do not forsake your own friend or your father's friend, and do not go into your brother's house in the day of your calamity. Better is a neighbor nearby than a brother far away. My son, be wise and gladden my heart, that I might have a word for him who reproaches me. A clever man foresees calamity, hides himself. The simple shall go on, they are punished. Take the garment of him who is guarantor for a stranger, and for a strange woman pledge it. He who greets his friend loudly early in the morning shall have it reckoned to him as a curse. Drops that never cease on a very rainy day and a contentious woman are alike. Whoever represses her represses the wind, and his right hand encounters oil. Iron is sharpened by iron, and a man sharpens the face of his friend. He who tends the fig tree eats its fruit, and he who guards his master is esteemed. As in water face is to face, so a man's heart to man. The grave and destruction are not satisfied, so the eyes of man are not satisfied. A refining pot is for silver, and a furnace for gold, so a man is tried by his praise. Even if you pound a fool in a mortar with a pestle along with crushed grain, his folly shall not leave him. Know well the state of your flocks, apply your heart to your herds. For riches are not forever, nor a diadem to all generations. Grass vanishes, and new grass appears, and the vegetation of the mountains are gathered in. The lambs are for your garments, and the goats for the price of a field, and goat's milk enough for your food, for the food of your household, and sustenance for your girls. Mashal, Proverb 28. The wicked shall flee, though no one pursues, but the righteous are as bold as a lion. Because of transgression of a land, many are its rulers, but by a man of understanding and knowledge, right is maintained. A poor man who oppresses the poor is a sweeping rain that leaves no food. Those who forsake the Torah praise the wicked. those who guard the Torah strive with them. Evil men do not understand right ruling, but those who seek Yahuah understand all. Better is the poor who walks in his integrity than one perverse in his ways who is rich. He who watches over the Torah is a discerning son, but a companion of gluttons shames his father. He who increases his possessions by interest and profit gathers it for him who shows favor to the poor. He who turns away his ear from hearing the Torah, even his prayer is an abomination. He who causes the straight to go astray in an evil way falls into his own pit, but the perfect inherit the good. A rich man is wise in his own eyes, but the poor who has understanding searches him out. When the righteous exalt, there is great comeliness, but when the wicked arise, a man is searched for. He who hides his transgressions does not prosper, but he who confesses and forsakes them finds compassion. Baruch is the man who always reveres, but he who hardens his heart falls into evil. A roaring lion and a charging bear is a wicked ruler over poor people. A leader who lacks understanding is a great oppressor, but the hater of greed prolongs his days. A man oppressed by blood guilt flees into a pit. Let no one help him. He who walks blamelessly is saved, but the perverted of ways falls at once. He who tills his land is satisfied with bread, but he who pursues vanities is filled with poverty. A man of truth has many barakoth, but one in a hurry to be rich does not go unpunished. To show partiality is not good, because for a piece of bread a man would transgress. A man with an evil eye runs after wealth, and does not know that poverty awaits him. He who reproves a man finds more favor afterward than he who flatters with the tongue. He who robs his father or his mother and says, "It is no transgression," he is a companion to a destroyer. He who is greedy stirs up strife, but he who trusts in Yahuah prospers. He who trusts in his own heart is a fool, but he who walks wisely is delivered. He who gives to the poor does not lack, but he who hides his eyes has many curses. When the wicked rise up, men hide themselves, but when they perish, the righteous increase. Mashal, Proverb 29. One often reproved, hardening his neck, is suddenly broken, and there is no healing. When the righteous increase, the people rejoice, but when a wicked one rules, the people sigh. He who loves wisdom gladdens his father, but a companion of whores destroys wealth. A sovereign establishes a land by right ruling, but one who receives bribes throws it down. A man who flatters his neighbor spreads a net for his own feet. An evil man is ensnared by transgression, but the righteous sings and rejoices. The righteous knows the plea of the poor, the wicked do not understand knowledge. Scoffers ensnare a city, but the wise turn away wrath. When a man disputes with a foolish man, whether he rages or laughs, there is no peace. Bloodthirsty men hate the perfect and seek the life of the straight. A fool lets out all his breath, but the wise calms it down afterward. If a ruler listens to lying words, all his servants become wicked. The poor man and the oppressor have this in common. Yahuah gives light to the eyes of both. The sovereign who rightly rules the poor with truth, his throne is established forever. A rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child unrestrained brings shame to his mother. When the wicked become many, transgression increases, but the righteous look on their fall. Discipline your son, and he brings you rest and delight to your life. Where there is no vision, the people are let loose, but Baruch is he who guards the Torah. A servant is not disciplined by words. Though he understands, he does not respond. Have you seen a man hasty in his words? There is more expectancy for a fool than for him. He who deals tenderly with his servant from youth has him as a son in the end. A man of displeasure stirs up strife, and a master of rage has many a transgression. The pride of man brings him low, but the humble in spirit obtains esteem. He who shares with a thief hates his own high. He hears an oath, but does not report. The fear of man brings a snare, but whoever trusts in Yahuah is made high. Many seek the face of a ruler, but right ruling for man comes from Yahuah. An unrighteous man is an abomination to the righteous, and he who is straight in the way is an abomination to the wicked.